general, and farming in their own backyard as well, no? Farming in general, be it urban farming or, next. Okay, so let's just quickly go through this. I'm not gonna spend too much time on it, but this is just really to point out humans being compared to nature, because for me, eating more of what is natural around us is part of our human nature. Because whatever our human nature, we live in this big planet, big green planet called Mother Earth, and whatever is around us is actually just what we need, if you think about it. And so just to read some of these thoughts, no? Nature is just so perfect. You don't alter nature, it's perfect. It will give you everything that you need. As soon as you alter nature, as soon as you process something, especially complex ways of processing, then you take out a little something from the thing that you're processing, no? And especially like fresh produce, it's so susceptible to damage. It's very fragile in a way. It's perfect when it's still there on the tree, but once it falls off, the enzymes will gradually and slowly what's this? It will become rotten after a while. You have a piece of banana here, you open the peeling, and then after a while it becomes brown. That's the action of enzymes. It means it's alive. All organisms, all living things are designed to function at a high level of health with a healthy population of good bacteria. So we hear a lot of talk about good bacteria versus bad bacteria. For me, bad bacteria is not even bad. They shouldn't even call it bad, because the reason why they're there is because they need to eat up whatever is decaying in your colon. Diba? So you have a lot of toxins in your body, especially your gut, the bad bacteria show up. If you don't have toxins, or if you have less toxins, they don't show up. So the natural state of our body is that we are governed by, yes, good bacteria, and this bacteria is so healthy for us. It's so healthy for our soil. Diba? I'm not so well-versed in farming, but what I know is that you need to keep the bacteria in the soil very healthy in order for it to produce wonderful organic food. And then everything that we take in is processed, especially food, no? We take in sunlight, we take in air, water, nutrients. Everything has to go through a certain process of digestion, of metabolization, if ever there's a word. Even in nature, everything that it takes in is being processed every single moment. So, and everything is recycled through this action that's called enzymes. Next. So I'd like to talk a little bit about enzymes, because for me that's the key word when you say, okay, raw food, oh, it's so nutrient dense, it's so highly enzymatic. I'd like to introduce Mr. Edward Howell. He's the main proponent of these enzymes. He's also called the father of food enzymes, because in his tests and research, he discovered that the more enzymes you eat, so what he did was he linked the role of enzymes in health and digestion. And after this discovery, tuloy-tuloy na yan. A lot of people parang embarked on so many other researches about the relationship of enzymes to longevity, what you call longevity, lengthening your life. Sabi niya, enzymes may be the key factor in preventing chronic disease and extending the human lifespan. It's that simple. And we have so many different enzymes. The human body has around 1,000 types of enzymes, and there are so many different kinds. So there are enzymes for digesting your food. There are enzymes for healing and repairing your cells. And so that's something already in us. All these enzymes are made of protein molecules, so it's a kind of protein. So we don't even need to eat, for example, if we don't eat anything, we still have those enzymes. But the thing is that if you eat more raw food, it will add enzymes to your body. And if you add more enzymes, that means that some of the enzymes that are in charge of digesting food, because we spend, it depends on the person eating, but our body spends so much time just digesting the food. What? You eat breakfast, and then you eat merienda, and then you eat lunch, and then eat merienda, and then you eat dinner, and then you midnight snack. You snack at midnight. So, sobrang napapagod. All our enzymes, it's always digesting, and then it gives less time for our body to heal, because we need our enzymes for lengthening our life. We need our enzymes to heal our cells, because every day our cells die, some cells die, and we need this constant heal and repair system through this action. So more raw food, less work for digestion, because the enzymes are already in the food that you're eating, and you give more attention to healing your body. That's why it's a cleansing kind of food, cleansing diet. And as soon as you open something, no, you open a banana, ano na yun? The enzymes start becoming less and less active. So just imagine na parang you open up something, you eat it 8 hours from now, you still get the enzymes, but they're a lot less. So as soon as you open up something, it's best to take it in as short a time as possible in between. No? Okay, next. Okay, so I like playing with words, and one thing na parang sabi ko, why is raw food such a beneficial thing for me? You know, I like eating raw, no? I like using the word raw. It turns off a lot of people because they say, raw, hilaw, parang ayoko kumain yan kasi daming bacteria niyan and everything. Ano yan, parang hindi hinuhugasang mabuti, yung ganon. So parang that's the common misconception in people's minds. I'll tell you later how we clean our vegetables. But for me, I like using the word raw because the opposite of the word raw is war. So when I'm not eating enough raw in my life, what happens is that my body is at war with myself. So I feel tired, I feel sluggish, I feel lazy, I feel sleepy, I feel all sorts of things. And it's like my body telling me na parang, hey, parang what are you doing to us? The liver is talking to me, my heart, everything, and saying, what are you doing to us? We need to live more, we need to perform our tasks. But how can you do that when you're abusing yourself? For example, even if I'm eating raw food, but I am eating too much, that's another way of feeling sick. If I eat too much, even if I eat too much raw food, if we eat too much of anything, it makes us feel less alive. So I like reading this book called The Amazing Liver and Gallbladder Flush by Andreas Moritz. I believe him when he says that the stomach can only hold 2 handfuls of food at a time. So when I'm eating a meal, most of the time, I measure like ganito. Ganito kadaming kinakain ko. 1, 2. So ganun lang kadami. That's the only amount that sabi niya, according to him, and I believe him, that's the only amount that our stomach can handle at any one time. And you eat until your stomach is only 3/4 quarters full. If you eat until you're full, and diba, after that you burp, hindi pa ako busog, so I'll eat some more. But if you keep on doing that, overall, it shortens life, and it gives your liver such a hard time and anything that you do not use, because you do not use all of those nutrients anyway. If you don't use all those nutrients, they will just, even if they're nutritious, even if they're good for our body, they quickly turn into toxins because remember, they become recycled. Our body is so smart. It recycles everything. Even our cells recycle themselves. Next. So raw versus war. So what is our nature? For me, our nature is to be well. That's God-given. We are destined to be healthy. We are born as a child, as a baby. A baby is the healthiest human being in the world. We are all born to be healthy. And what is against our nature to be well? Disease is the opposite of wellness. So we feel when we have a disease, before we contract a disease, we feel, at first we'll feel symptoms. What are symptoms? Symptoms are actually good for us because they're created by the body on purpose. As a part of cleansing you, it's your way to know na, there's something wrong. There's something wrong. There's a symptom. And so I need to pay more attention to what's inside me, because a lot of times we make choices that do not necessarily agree with what we need at that particular time. And especially if you're emotionally imbalanced, which happens to me a lot of times too. I eat more sugar. So yeah, it's just really becoming more aware of what's happening to our emotions. And so that's another thing that we need to work on. And then also, the nature of our body is for everything to be in flow. If you look at the different systems in our body, from the circulatory system to the nervous system, to the digestive system, etc., everything should flow. Like blood should flow, lymph in the lymphatic system should flow smoothly, blood, acids, and everything should flow. If there is a tumor, for example, that means there's a blockage. So anything that blocks that flow generates disease, and because of the congestion and the obstruction. So what happens? Your body responds. How does it respond? You create mucus. Why? You need mucus to trap all those toxic substances. So kumakapal yung mucus natin sa lahat ng mga intestinal lining and all those mucus linings in our body. Tapos the blood gets more thick, and remember what I said about bad bacteria? It shows up because you generate a lot of mga decayed matter, especially if you eat too many non-organic toxic food, if you don't clean your food well, if you eat too much. There's so many different different ways that you can actually congest and obstruct your system. So it's good to pay attention, it's good to read, but in the end, it's good to feel your body, because I have read so many, so many different articles, so many books, etc. But right now, I'm just really concerned about how do I feel every day. If there's something wrong, you know, you cannot memorize all the different functions of minerals and nutrients. It doesn't matter to me if you know and not know what they are. For me, what matters for myself is that I'm able to listen to my body and really make choices and decide according to how I want to feel, how I feel and how I want to feel after eating something. Next. So Ann Wigmore, one of the leading pioneers in raw food nutrition, said that the food you eat can be either the safest and most powerful form of medicine or the slowest form of poison. Poison. Remember, cancer is only detected after so many years of undetected symptoms. Some symptoms are not even detected. I know somebody whose father was just diagnosed by the doctor as having some kind of cancer. It's like he never felt anything in his life, and now he has cancer. So cancer is very slow. Why not prevent cancer right now by including more raw foods in your diet? Why not? Yes, you can enjoy all the other foods that you like to eat, but just eat more raw food, and it will do a lot for you. Next. Okay, and then she said that there are two main causes of disease. Deficiency, that means you have an undernourished body, or it's very toxic. There's too many toxins and the liver cannot destroy them all. Remember, the liver is the organ that neutralizes all the toxins that come in, be it environmental or be it anything coming from your food. It's the liver that actually has that burden. So be kind to your liver, please. So I was 100% raw vegan until I became very undernourished. Why? Because I fasted too much. Because I felt that I had I won't go into the details of that, but I had an emotional imbalance, and that led me to fast until I became undernourished, and so I became deficient. And so I had to do something to balance my system again, because our body is always trying to achieve this state of balance. No? Next. So how do I know? So you ask yourself, how do I know if my body is in a state of balance or if it's toxic or deficient? For me, it's very simple. Just ask yourself these questions. These are questions that I normally ask myself every day, at least if I'm very aware. Next. So I'd like to compare two things. No? First is the feeling of sinking with heaviness, which I associate with imbalance and having a really low immune system, as opposed to you feel like you're rising with lightness, like you have so much life, and you have so much life to give to the world as well. So you can ask yourself, some statements that we say are, I feel toxic, weak, feverish, imbalanced, and I feel like I'm catching a cold, or I think I'm gonna have a fever very soon. As opposed to, I feel clean, I feel strong and amazing, I feel awake, alert, imbalanced. And then, I feel bored, tired, heavy, sluggish. I feel light, springy, and have lots of energy. I feel that I'm gaining too much weight, or I feel that I'm not gaining enough weight. As opposed to, I feel that my weight is just perfect for my body's constitution, and I don't feel deficient even if I'm skinny. I feel foggy and confused. I feel focused and able to think clearly. I feel gassy. I have a lot of gas. I feel bloated. I feel congested. I feel good after I eat my meals. Andreas Moritz said that after you eat a meal, you shouldn't feel like you're a slouch potato. You should feel like you want to run up the hill like Jack in jail. So you have to still be springy enough and get up from your chair and still feel alive after eating a meal. That means you didn't give your liver a hard time if you do that. I feel dry, itchy, and inflamed. I feel hydrated. I feel stressed and upset a lot of times. I feel calm, relaxed, and alert. I feel ugly. You know, even if you put on a lot of makeup, there's still this feeling inside, parang I still feel ugly. But raw food, because of the light energy that you're absorbing, you just feel beautiful. Even if you're not wearing any makeup or you're not putting on great, nice clothes, there's this feeling of inner beauty that you feel and nobody else can take away from you. So what do you feel? I mean, it's not always perfect. I don't always feel this way. There are a lot of times when I still feel this way, but it just to be aware is good enough for us to say, I feel healthy. I feel sluggish, it means something. Ano, did I eat too much? Yung ganyan. So parang it's a gauge for you to prevent a habit that you have developed that's not doing you any good. Because remember, your body is always trying its best to be healthy, to be well, to be balanced. Next. So what is disease? Well, a lot of people call it different things. These are some of the words associated with that. So it's illness, you've contracted a virus, your blood, my red blood cells before were filled with so many parasites. Why? Because I love cake so much. I love anything that is sweet, and I overate. Obviously I didn't eat in moderation. So I saw the parasites crawling out of my red blood cells, and after seeing that, I said, I don't want that. I want those parasites out. And so that's why I was just eating steamed cabbage every single day. And then inflammation, microbes, cancer, fever, infection, symptom, imbalance, and of course, it can all lead to early, not just death, but early death. Next. And these are just all, there's such a long list of degenerative diseases, but these are just some that I am sure all of you are familiar with, and maybe you're experiencing one yourself. If you're experiencing one yourself, well, let me just say that there's so much hope. You know, I've seen my doctor heal so many of her patients, even stage 4, rectal cancer, whatever it is. The most incurable patients are those who are not willing to make a change in their life. As long as your mindset is good, and also as long as you're willing to work, because it takes a lot of work, especially for people who have developed habits that don't serve them anymore in their life, then for me, any disease can be healed. Because if you go back to nature, everything in nature is self-regenerating. Our body is self-regenerating. I felt that, and I've seen so many miracles happen. No, cancer for me is not even that serious anymore. It is serious, but as long as you eat healthy, the chances are there's a 90% chance that you will heal. And if you work on your emotions, that's another thing, because a lot of people say now that emotions are the main contributor to stress that's contributing to your illness and disease. So you work on your emotions, you work on your physical health, you stay active, like Mr. Franco Atienza said, if you stay physically fit, you start the day with, you know, all this oxygen running around you, and stimulate your appetite before eating, and you don't eat right away, you don't eat when you're not hungry, then there's no reason for you not to be sick. There's no reason for you to be sick. Next. Okay, and then what does it feel like? I'm sure all of you have had this spark of wellness in your life. You've felt this spark, this parang, I feel so alive. The big word is wellness. Some people call it vital forces, life forces, spirit of God working through you, spark of life, prana, vitality, chi, energy, longevity. All these words are so positive, and just by reading them, it already feeds you with the light coming from these words, because words have so much power in them. Next. And then, what are the things that we need to do in order to have these life forces active within us? Well, for sure, we all need sunlight, right? For me, it's the most essential nutrient that you can ever have. So, yes, please, get your vitamin D. Even if you take all the calcium pills and all the calcium in your food, it will never get processed if you don't have enough vitamin D, because it takes vitamin D to process calcium and magnesium in your blood. So get sunlight, expose yourself to sunlight at least twice a week, 15 minutes, and you really feel the difference. Yes, we need water. Water is a nutrient. So these are the top nutrients. Water, our cells need to become hydrated. They need to breathe. Oxygen, enzymes, vitamins and minerals. We need a lot of fiber to keep our colon healthy. Uso na ngayon yung colon cancer and a lot of gut disorders. A lot of people suffer from gut diseases, gut disorders, because of the way, not just what they eat, but the way they eat and how they eat and what they're combining in one meal. Later, we'll talk a little bit about that. And of course, we need calories, because Filipinos are thinkers. We think a lot, we work a lot, and so our brain always needs this oxygen, and we need fuel, we need energy to burn, and we need it for everyday life. We need it for a job. We need it to think. The brain takes up a lot of energy. Next. Okay, so we'll go deeper into raw food, no? So just a reminder that these are the words that are normally associated with raw food. Next. And the title of my workshop is called Peace on My Plate. I'm sure a lot of you have thoughts running in your head. I always call it peace on my plate. Whatever I serve in front of me. Going back to raw versus war. You know, if I'm eating more raw food, I create more peace within myself, and also I create more peace in the planet. Because for me, the Earth's beauty is reflected on my plate. Whatever I eat is a reflection of how I want the planet to be, at least 90% of the time. So my food, these are what I call mantras. These are statements that I say to myself to remind myself of this beauty before me, this benefit. My food is energy direct from the sun. My food is my medicine and my source of nutrition. My food is healing to myself, others, and the environment. So these three statements already contain what we need to be healthy. If we change our thoughts, and if we say these statements and just consider that food can be a tool to optimal health, then we're already 50% on the way to healing, especially if you're suffering from some serious condition. Next. Okay, so why do we need to eat raw food? Ba't ako kailangan kumain ng hilaw na pagkain? Well, there's this thing called law of efficiency, no? Parang it's more on the science part, but just to sum it up, it says that every species is always trying to get the most benefit for the least amount of effort. So just imagine na lang, let's make it more tangible. Look at your organs. They're all trying to perform their tasks as efficiently as possible. If you do something that harms your liver, for example, too much alcohol or too much caffeine or too much of this and that, then obviously it harms the liver. If you don't eat enough fiber, it harms the colon. So our organs are trying to, as much as possible, least effort. No? So for example, if you overeat, it overtaxes the liver. If you eat too much sugar, why do you have diabetes? It overworked your pancreas. So there's a lot of overwork. Masyadong nagmumultitask and masyadong na-overwork yung mga organs natin because of our habits. And our goal is actually what? Efficient digestion. Remember, I was saying that it doesn't matter what you eat in the end, it's about how you eat, no? And how you combine your food. So, because the body already creates a perfect chemical environment for the food. It has enzymes, it has juices, it has different acids to digest your food. But if we abuse ourselves, then there's something that is lost and there's something that is damaged. And then the more we process food also, the more that our body takes up its energy just to digest, because it has to be broken down to its simple components. And then you ask yourself, where do I want to assign my body's energy? Do I want to assign it only towards digestion, or do I want to assign it for healing? So it's really all up to you, and there's no judging you for any decision that you make. Next. And then, of course, it's for optimizing health. Our body has 60 to 100 trillion cells that need to be fed every single moment with the nutrients that it so deserves. No? So, if we eat more raw food, we prevent deficiency and we prevent toxicity. Of course, it's not always very simple. There's a lot of listening inside yourself that goes on more than reading. You can read as much as you want, but in the end, everybody has different needs. Of course, you have to maintain a certain kind of what they call homeostasis, or a state of balance. Dr. Bardi, in his book Alkalize or Die, he said that our glands and organs function properly in exact proportion to the amount of alkaline and acid levels in our system. And if the body is out of balance, even if you take in so many minerals, especially from your supplements, it gets flushed out, because if your body is too acidic, for example, if you're stressed a lot, if you overwork too much, and your body becomes too acidic, your body is so smart, it will leach minerals from your bones, from your reservoir of these nutrients. It will pull them out and start using them, no, for you to stay alive. So it's best to keep your body at balance. Or if you feel like you're out of balance, more fruit and vegetable juices for sure. Okay, next. Next. And then, for me, I don't reject cooking, because I also cook my food sometimes, especially if it's warm. But this is the research that's been done on cooking. No? When we eat more raw food, we keep it intact, the enzymes. Cooking denatures the action of enzymes. It's why if you saute something, keep it at a very low temperature, and nagiging uso na ngayon yung tinatawag nilang slow food. And like for example, I do water sautéing. Water saute my food, and then after that, that's when I add my oils. After I turn off the fire, so as not to change the molecular structure of the oils, because oils can easily get rancid under heat. And then as soon as you cook your food, it breaks down the fiber. So the more cooked food, the less you take in fiber. You eat cooked food, you take in more fruits and vegetables, you're good. Dr. Kuchakov mentioned something about digestive leukocytosis. He made this research. He made a lot of research about digestion, and he did this test. Next, please. And he found out that the body creates a lot of white blood cells, and when you process your food too much, no? So it's good to combine. But if you're eating 100% processed food, it's really going to do damage to your system eventually. So when do the white blood cells come out? They come out when you have an infection, because there are natural soldiers. They're the soldiers of our blood that fights infections or that kill parasites and microbes. So in its tests, he found out that he concluded that foods had to have been processed in these ways or heated above 350 degrees. The blood was tested of these individuals, and they had a high WBC count, whereas they tested people who ate more of unrefined foods and foods heated to below 200 degrees or slow cooked. You have a low WBC count. So just consider these studies, because they say a lot about what's happening inside us. Next. So how do I consume raw food? Some people get turned off kasi sinasabi nila, ay, yung raw food naman yan, mahal naman yan eh, di ba? Parang they search Mr. Google and they say raw food recipes. And then all these websites from the States, from so many different countries, give you recipes that use ingredients that you're not even familiar with. Ano yung avocado oil? Wala namang binibenta niyan dito. What are all these different ingredients that I have never heard them before? And so people get tired of, ayoko na yan kasi parang masyado siyang mahal. I have to buy it from a special store or what. So I want to tell you that raw food can be very, very simple. No? So, and it's best naman talaga to keep your food simple to begin with. It may be presented in a nice way na mukhang gourmet, pero yung combination of ingredients should really be simple. Why? When if we go back to the law of efficiency, diba, we have to make everything as efficient as possible. Our digestion has to be as efficient as possible. So if you're putting so many different things in one kind of food, how is it going to affect your digestive system? It's going to process. Remember, our body has so many kinds of enzymes, and each enzyme, we have one enzyme for metabolizing, for digesting or breaking down fats, one enzyme for proteins, one kind of enzyme for carbohydrates, for this and that. And so parang nalilito na siya if you're taking so many things in just one meal. So just to give you an idea of digestion time, if you eat fruits, 30 minutes to 2 hours, ano na yan? Na-digest na yan. Within 2 hours then, leafy greens, veggie fruits, sprouted greens, low-starch veggie fruits, and anything from the cabbage family, 2 hours mostly. 3 hours, heavier starches. I eat sweet. I like eating sweet kamote at times because it fills me up, and I find that it has good nutrition. I like sweet kamote, and when I eat it, it takes longer to digest, and I'm aware of that. So if I eat something as heavy as steamed kamote, I make sure that I eat 3 hours before, because if I eat kamote and then mamaya after 1 hour later, I eat another thing, the enzymes that are digesting kamote will partially just digest the food and then digest the new visitor that's coming in your stomach. So just consider all those things, no, yung mga digestion time. And then for heavier proteins, normally when I snack, I normally 90% of the time I snack